because when I was 3, my mom left me, and and as that happened, I felt like that was my fault. And as I grew up, people were bullying me, and I was just like, man, God, why'd you make me this way? Like, nobody likes me at all. And so I always hated God. And that was a really rough patch in my life. And and then like one 7th grade day, my best friend's like, dude, you gotta go to Catalyst. I'm like, what's Catalyst? It sounds like some kind of like scientific, strange thing. And he's like, no, dude, it's one of the most funnest. Yeah, it's one of the funnest things that I have ever been to. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go try it out. And so, I just take a chance and I go. But then I just took like 2 steps and I'm like, no, I'm not going to do this. And so I leave the first time. And so it took me 2 more tries before I can even come through the door. And then I came and I sat like right behind Lizzie. Like I couldn't remember where I sat. And that's the first time I experienced something different. Like a feeling other than sadness. And the one time the first time I actually met God, that I actually knew God, was at Blackout, which is a spring retreat, which you guys got to go to, but it's not going to be called Blackout. Which was like a couple of years ago. It was one of my first. And Blackout was basically about how the devil blocks out who you are, like the light that's inside of you, with like words that he uses, like you're worthless, or you're nothing, or why do you even continue? You don't matter. And one of the things that happened at Blackout was that at the last night, the leaders painted on the walls with like black. I gotta say it's like purple light ink or something. So then the only time you can see the writing is when you turn on a black light. So black light ink. And on all the walls it said everything that the devil could possibly say to you. Like, you're nothing. You're worthless. Everyone hates you. Nobody loves you. And when I saw all those words on all the walls, I immediately thought, that's all I've been hearing all my life in my head. And so in that moment, I took a chance and said, like, I want to be part of this thing, because I hate feeling alone, and I hate feeling like no one cares. And in that moment, I knew that God cared. That God cared enough that He would bring me to this place, that He would bring me to where I am. And I'm going to look at my computer for a second. So, some experiences that I've had with being part of this church and then being part with God is, one was NYC. And you guys heard of NYC, and if you didn't, go to it. Since it's like in October, go to it. And my first was junior year, and the experience that happened there was because I was going through a foreclosure time, and a lot of you know this. But I was going through a time of like hurt and pain, and I just didn't know what to do. And the first thing that happened before NYC, and was that for a period of weeks, I would have this idea pop into my head. And it was like, pray to God that I could see heaven for once. For one time before I die. See it in life and not in death yet. Because I was just curious. And so, like one day I was just praying because I was staying home because I was helping my dad pack. And then, I just felt like God opened my eye, and He said, look at the wall. Look at the far wall in your house. And what I saw was like these bright golden buildings. And I was filled with this peace that I've never felt in my life ever. Because like I've always had anxiety, I've always had worry, I've always had hurt, but this was peace. And I knew that this was peace. Because I just felt joy and happiness in this one time. And I just knew that it was God because it says that He will give you unimaginable peace and joy. And the thing that happened at NYC, I actually wasn't going to go. I'll be serious. I wasn't going to go to NYC because I didn't know where I was going to live when I got back home. I didn't know where I was going to be when I got back, and I didn't want to go through that. But then I had lunch with Christina because my dad had like an anxiety attack, and she's like, you need to think about this and you need to discover it. And so on the last night, I'm like, I gotta go. Like, I have to go. Like, no matter what, I have to go to this. Because I feel like if I go, God will do something. Like, God will do something that will help me be able to get through this. And so I go, and I'm like, and I'm just really sad and really down, but then I'm like, if I just pray enough, if I just worship enough, then maybe God would do something. Then maybe God would just, like give me a sign that He knew me. And then He knew that I was trying to ask for His help. And during the last night, because we got there really late because of the football game, last night that I was there, like I was crying because I had such a fun time, but then I had to go back home. And I still haven't gotten like a talk from God. And so what happened was this young worship leader who was about around my age, she was able to go up and be able to worship. And she was one of the youngest because she was the most excellent, as I would say, in singing because of God. And then she was singing through one of her songs. And then when she was about to start her second one, she got past 3 words, and then she says, and right when she starts the song, I just felt like in the back of my head, God said to me, listen to what she has to say, because this is for you. This is what you asked for. This is what you wanted. And what she says, she's like, wait. And she said, there's somebody in this room that's going through a storm. And I wanted to tell them that God has you. That God won't let you drown in the seas of despair. That He'll shelter you through this storm. And then I got just a click in my head that was for me. Exactly, that's what God just told me. I wasn't the only one. I was lucky enough to have my pastor's Christopher Moore. If you don't know him, go to Midtown Church. Maybe. Or Christopher Moore and Connor Moore, when they weren't even married yet, they're like, we got to go find this person. And then Christina's like, we got to go find this person. I'm like, I have to go find this person so I can go tell them what she did. That she was so close to God that she got the words that would help me through this time. And it's not my last experience, it's just an amazing experience that I had. It was at this NYC, the 2013 NYC, which I hope you guys go to the 2014 NYC. This one, I'm like, this is the yearly. So this happens on the same day every year. And so this is just a reminder of what happened and how I got through this with God. And so I'm just like, okay, I'm just like, I just feel like you're going to do something again. It's not going to be something really huge, in front of thousands of people like it was before, but it's going to be something really big. And I just didn't know what, so I said the same thing. I'm going to pray 100%, and I'm going to worship 100%, and I'm going to see what you're going to do, God. And when I was worshiping the last night, like I did the other night, I was worshiping with all I had. And I was just laying everything down before God. And then, I just felt like this warmth surrounded me. Just this unimaginable warmth that I can't explain. But I felt that peace again. So I knew it was God. And I knew He was talking to me. And He was saying just how much He loved me and how much I meant to others. Because I struggle with that. And what I didn't know was what was around me. And when worship was over for a second, I looked at my hands, and I just felt like God opened my eyes to Him again, and then I saw His glory. That I saw like this dust in the form of in the form of His glory, and that's the first thing that came to my mind. I'm like, this is His glory, because when I was worshiping, I asked God, pour your glory on me. Pour all your glory on me. And I was lucky that I wasn't the only one to notice, because I thought I was going crazy. My best friend leader, Joel Grosh, but he's not here. He's in Alaska right now. He said he felt God talking to him, saying that, like, he just had big plans in my life, and he told me to look at him. Yeah, well, he told Joel to look at me, and then he saw what was going on around me. He saw God open his eyes and showed that His glory was going around him, or going around me. Sorry. I'm gonna look at my card again. Yeah, and what I want to leave you guys with is three things, because I just came up with one. It's not on my cue card.
Okay,
but
keep going.
Okay,
keep going.
know that God is always with you. Yeah, even when it seems like He isn't, because He's always with you. Yeah, it says in the Bible that He will never forsake you and He will never leave you, and that He will always be by your side. And the other thing that I want to say is to know that God has you in His hands. That even if He seems like He doesn't have you in His hands, He does. He absolutely does. He wants to be part of your life. And the last thing I want to leave you with is that go out of your limits. Don't stay in comfort. Don't stay in comfort. Break out of comfort. Do the things that you dislike doing, like going up and speaking, like I'm doing right now. That's not a thing I like doing. But it's for God. And my life, and a verse that I wanted to leave with, which is my life verse, is Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways follow Him, and He will make your path straight. And my senior quote, it is not the things we get that measure our success in life, but it's the hearts we touch that will.